Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey friends, will you join me just for a moment and try to imagine how fantastic you'd feel living the unique and distinct life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you it makes for a very happy life. And so can my new friend, Danny Sample. He's our guest star today, and he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. Hey, Danny, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Matt. Appreciate having me.
Awesome. Will you just take a minute and tell us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
Well, basically right now, after 36 years of uniform and with civil service, my wife and I opened up a brewery to kind of have more of a community impact. But here over the last 4 years, I've been really involved with the Veterans of Foreign Wars to help my compadres that have served and help them to ensure that they get the benefits they need, but also the support, camaraderie, and friendship that we all kind of miss once we come out of uniform. And so having a VFW post here at our business was kind of a one step forward that we took so that my wife and I can maintain involvement in the veteran community and as well as the overall community of the city.
Very good. Can you give us a snapshot, a quick snapshot? 36 years is a long time. What was the roles that you played in your service?
So primarily my majority of my career was in an armor unit. I served as an armor platoon leader over tanks. And so I served as a company commander, battalion S3, and then as a deputy commander of a small unit as part of the 1st Cavalry Division that deployed to Iraq in 2004, 2005, and then served as a deputy during Hurricane Katrina for about 6 months. And then I spent the last 16 years of my career either commanding a drill sergeant battalion or a chief of staff of training divisions to assist units as they were preparing to deploy into combat zones.
Okay, and you're currently in the reserves?
So I retired out a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. I retired as a colonel.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your service. And I think I met your son. Do you have a son in the service too?
Yes, so I have a middle son that spent some time in an infantry unit, and he's now a deputy sheriff in our local county. And our youngest son is just below you there in Charleston, South Carolina, at a little school they call the Citadel.
Okay, very good. And explain to our audience, I met you because we're a part of this thing called Harvest Hosts, and just explain to the audience what that is and how that brings outsiders not only into your business but into your community, and how that's working for you.
Oh, it's been working great. What Harvest Hosts is an organization that is a club for people that travel in their RVs. And certain businesses get to be selected as hosts. You apply, and if you're selected as a host, you have to be able to show that you can provide a good, safe place for campers to come and stop at your business, provide them a place to stay. We don't charge anybody to stay in our parking lot. And people are able to come in and enjoy the food truck, enjoy some libations, listen to some music, play trivia, play bingo. And so what it's been able to do with our little town, we're kind of halfway between Birmingham, Alabama and Montgomery, Alabama. We're that halfway point before you get to the beach and Gulf Shores. But what it's allowed a lot of our harvest hosts to do is come in, one, for a good stop and rest, but they're able to connect, as you saw, with people within our community that are right here in Alabaster, Alabama, to be able to talk with. We've had people from over 39, close to 42 states have stopped in. So it's a chance for people to sit, talk, share experiences. You never know when somebody runs into someone down here that has a connection to wherever they're from or wherever they're going. So it really brings a great sense of friendship, and it's just always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a great idea. I've enjoyed it so much, and I'm meeting lots of cool people just like you. So Danny, let's have some fun with mathematics and let our friends all
Oh,
around the World Wide Web get to know you through our happy formula. It's very
okay.
simple, but it's quite powerful. Power plus purpose equals happy. So let's
Mhm.
start with power. What are your practices for building up your personal power to get things done, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally? In other words, Danny, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the power you need to take really good care of yourself and your family and still have plenty left over to be a giver to others?
So for me, I start out really as having a good cup of coffee with my wife.
Mm,
With us two running this business, we kind of have that start of the morning, cup of coffee, discuss kind of how we're going through our day. We discuss our kids; they're all kind of out of the house. I also have a small podcast that I listen to that goes through some scripture and listen to some scripture. Actually, today was a discussion about anxiety running in the background, and so as
mm.
you can imagine, running a business and trying to do everything that you're doing in preparation for retirement, there's a lot of anxiety. But no, but having her with me and is kind of where we kind of get each day started, because uh, we bounce ideas off of each other, and which mostly a lot of times is uh, I'm not having the right idea, and she helps steer me in the right direction. But it's a good way to even talk about our kids, because two of them are married and out, and being able to have a sense of knowing where they are and what they're doing kind of helps us get going. So I would have to say emotionally it is having the start of the day with a wife, but spiritually it is having that little small podcast. It's a little 7-minute podcast I listen to either in my truck or on my headphones.
Very good. So let's explore one of my favorite power generating concepts called a Kaizen state of mind. Danny, this is a beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to create great big results. And I love
Hmm.
it because it's based on mindset, not circumstance. So Kaizening life is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than today. It's very optimistic, and it creates this gentle, powerful, continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So Danny, how does Kaizening your life help you increase your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
So for me, one of the little phrases we had when I was in Iraq was "every day better."
Mm,
And so this coming up June, I'll be the commander of the Department of Alabama Veterans of Foreign Wars, and my motto for my year in command is "make every day better."
mm,
Uh, Sometimes, and that's where the VFW comes into a good for me. Uh, is being able to be around a lot of other combat veterans, because there at times we can get to into a lower place. Having someone to be able to be with you that understands kind of where you've been, what you're going through, kind of allows you to kind of talk and pull through. For us in getting started with this business, if you talk about incrementally starting small and then working to where we are now, as I was getting ready to retire, a lot of the things my wife and I did together, we realized something that we enjoyed together, and that was going to various breweries and trying craft beer. So we started on a level of a 1 gallon, and then I went to a 5 gallon, and now I'm at 5 barrel. But it was us sitting down and deciding what is it that our area needs, and so we kind of put forth our own little stepping plan to
mm,
understand that we were going into the right place. And I think that's a lot what I try to get our boys to do, is to understand you're not going to get to the top of your game overnight.
right.
There's you have to one, you have to continue to educate yourself. 36 years in the Army, I made it all the way through war college because my education never stopped. Same way with here, just because we open a brewery doesn't mean that we don't read up about the things to do to run a business.
Yeah.
And so it's the same way with telling our young men now, they're not boys, as they go into their adult life is making sure that as you go into your decision making process, understand where you're going to start at smaller levels, and then once you reach that accomplishment, it's not a plateau, it's to start planning for that next step. So that's kind of been a major force forward for us here with the brewery. As we started out with 4 taps, we now have 13. So you can't just open up and just have so much beer on tap. You just don't have the capacity to produce it. So how do you get to that? One of the things we did at the brewery was kind of in the same way of a crawl, walk, run. We just wanted to get the tap room open. Then we started into doing some wines, but we weren't distributing anywhere. So now we're taking that next step to be able to get our product out into the market. And we didn't want to do that when we first opened up, because 1, we want to make sure the product was right, but 2, we wanted to know exactly where we were going into it. So I hope that kind of answered your question there.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's what I like our guests or our listeners to understand, is that you can't go from 0 to 100, but you can go from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, and eventually you get to, and that's what I love about Kaizen. And it's infinite. It never stops. It doesn't matter if you're 16 or 61 or 73, you can always do something better tomorrow than you did today. And if you're engaged in that, it feels great. It just feels great. Okay, let's talk about purpose, that second element of the happy formula. And I've observed that major life transformations, the big changes, discovery of purpose, often comes from devastation. Addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster. Something awful strips a life to its core, and it creates this great big change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover my purpose using inspiration. So how about you, Danny? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
I would have to say probably being called to Iraq and spending 13 months in a combat zone. That'll change some things on your perspective.
So let our audience understand where were you in the Army and in your career when that call was made?
So I was a major. So I was pretty well along into my career. I first enlisted in '85. I was called up for Desert Storm, never deployed to the combat zone. Called up again in 2003 and 2004 to get over to Iraq into Baghdad, which our role was to track supply convoys to ensure they were getting to troops. And if they did come under attack, we were the response team to ensure that we got the reaction forces. So that was a very tense time over the course of 13 months. And then when I got back, I went straight into Katrina. So it was a lot of going 100 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, and then getting home, and all of a sudden it goes from 100 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour. So a lot of the readjustment with family, with my wife, and getting to know that it turned into truly getting to know each other again, and for me to refocus not just on me, but again back on to the family. But that's been that. And as I got closer to retirement, I tried to figure out, well, what is my purpose? I mean, I've been going, wearing the Army uniform or working for the government for all these years, and now I'm about to end it. And I think one of the things that I had to come to grips with, and this may not go along with what a positive note, but I had to realize, I guess I can be okay with being irrelevant, and it's not in a bad way, but as the cycle goes through, military leaders don't always stay. CEOs don't always stay. You have to come to a realization that your role was, as you come on up into the ranks, is you are to train those to take over when you get ready to leave. You can't hang on forever.
Yep.
So for me, it was coming to the realization that it is time for me to step aside. I am the old colonel that needs to get out of the way and let some of these younger, fresh ideas come up. So that was a huge thought thought process for me to go through was, where can I be relevant again? And I think having the brewery and my wife and I getting to be empty nesters again gave us a chance to get to know each other again as we run this business together. Because in the first time in our 30 years together, we see each other every day, more than just me coming home at night or and her being at work. She retired as an dental hygienist. So major life impacts of becoming an empty nester or changing jobs or retiring from a job or even losing a job kind of makes you try to think, where is it you can go? So as we sat back realizing that that time was coming to us, that's when we said, well, let's try to work towards the brewery so that we have something that keeps us busy, keeps us focused, and allows us to maintain friendships, but also even just to try to have an impact on the community as we do community events here.
Yeah, and you made me think, one of the things that you described is you realized, you said you needed to become irrelevant. I don't think that's what you ended up doing. You shifted from one area of life to another, and you didn't try to cling on to the old power or comfort or that part of your life and say, okay, what can we do now that's new? And just give us a quick couple of thoughts on how you brought skills from those 36 years of service to now apply to this new, softer life, but still, you still have those skills. How have you applied the skills you learned in your career to what you're doing today?
I think from a planning perspective, especially when you're looking at beer. So beer just doesn't pour into a vessel and the next day you pour it out as beer. There is a process and a planning process that goes into it. Everything we do in the military has some kind of standard operating procedures. Well, we have the same thing at the brewery, from how to clean the vessels, how to transfer, what we're doing on checking, on fermentation, all those kind of things kind of came from the military, but transitioned over into brewing. I've got two wonderful guys that are brewing for me now. So I've been able to kind of step back more into a CEO or more of an owner's perspective after being in the trenches doing the brewing. So now I rely on them to provide me with, for example, earlier today, we were just going over our ordering process that we need for the end of the month. So it's trying to get those put together and knowing what beers are going to be coming out, when they're coming out. And so that's been a huge impact that's been on the process. Another thing I would say is, as much as I hate to say it, I'm kind of a stickler on different things being in order. And so I'm always constantly walking around the brewery to see what we can do for process improvements, and not so much as the processes of the beer, but the processes of customer enjoyment. What is it that we can do here that the customers are going to feel better about coming and staying from? Looking into down the road, are we going to have an out front patio? All right, as the weather warms up, we got to get the out back patio ready to go. We got chairs have to be, make sure you don't have wobbly chairs, and and picking up around the brewery, and things are clean. So that really translated over from military experiences into running a business.
And that's you're describing Kaizen, right? You just keep you get one thing fixed and you improve something else, and you just keep doing it, and the whole thing is a big uplifting experience. Okay, Dan, that's great. Let's take a quick break for our sponsor to spread a little love with our audience. If you have more ideas than actions, if you have more promises than change, if you're ready for the life you are meant to live, then TI2A is the book for you. And we're back, and this is a Something Significant show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper, and our special guest star today is Danny Sample. He has proudly served in the United States Army for more than three decades, and is a colonel, retired as a colonel in the Army Reserve. And about 6 years ago, after giving home brewing a shot, he decided to take a leap of faith and he transformed the old alabaster post office on First Avenue West into the new Siluria Brewing Company, where his beer family, he says in quotes, beer family focuses on combining classic brews with the new craft flair to deliver a quality product every time. Danny loves incorporating the history of alabaster into everything they do. And Danny, I think you'll love the article I found on lifescience.com. It's called The Science Behind the Power of Giving.
Mm-hmm.
And it says the act of giving itself, the act of giving can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on this planet. It tells us how science supports the idea that giving one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose and overcoming difficulties and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Danny? Have you found that giving your time and your talents and your treasure has been a pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting past difficulties you've faced and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's been something core in my values and being raised by my parents. I'm a military brat too. So my dad's a retired Army officer. So I kind of grew up with a little bit of that kind of discipline. But and a lot of it even came from my grandparents of always knowing that what you're doing is to make things better for your generations to come forward. So it goes back to that make every day better, which I try to live by. But as we've moved forward, one of the things we said when we were doing the brewery itself, we always knew the term pub comes from the old term of a public house. And if you think back in the days of pubs, where did you get all of your news and information? It was at the local public house or common house. So people needed to be signed up to join the military for the American Revolution all the way through as we've gone forward through wars in our nation. How do you get news about family and friends? You come and you sit and you share an ale and have a conversation. So we knew that was going to be part of how we wanted our community that was just growing by leaps and bounds to be able to have a place for people to share. We've had people come in here to share gender reveals, to share engagement parties, to graduations, and just different little things that they can do to share. And we feel like that's our opportunity to give. When we started our VFW post here at the brewery, even though I'm a member of the post and an officer in the post, I don't, as a business, charge my own post to come here and have meetings. So we give of our time and our space and our resources for our VFW post to help as helping veterans. My wife and the staff here took donations to be able to take to veterans at the VA hospital during Christmas or to a VA home. We've taken donations here to be able to take to tornado victims from the tornadoes we had here in Alabama 3 weeks ago. We've done other drives and other charity because it's where my wife and I feel that if you're going to have a business, your business is part of the community and you got to be a good community partner. So to do that, we do fundraisers here for various charities in our city and in our county. And so the joy that you get for being able to provide those kind of things and the people that you're able to meet, even going to Harvest Host, it's giving of our space and time of something that I'm not charging anybody to come there. Like, it's great people buy our product, but it's it's us to giving our time and our space and our location for others. And so I think my wife has really driven that to me, and that it's just not all about us. As we raised our kids, and I heard somebody say one time, you pack your kid's suitcase for 18 years and then you got to get them on out. And so as we continue to move forward with our kids, we wanted to make sure we give them those resources in that suitcase to be good adults out in the world and adulting. And so here at the brewery, it's kind of the same way. No matter what, we have a drawing that we're going to do. We're giving away a dinner for Valentine's Day that will be given away on a drawing for someone to have a Valentine's Day dinner catered here at the brewery. to just having other small giveaways for Mother's Day or Father's Day. And it's not about what's making us look better, but it is allowing us to be able to give, as we've been able to have had people step up and assist with us as we've moved forward, because we didn't do it all by ourselves. There's family and friends and our staff. So it's a huge appreciation for us to be able to give back to the community and to family and friends.
And so that's what this article talks about. It says the science actually supports that good feeling that you're expressing when you're giving to others. You get this feeling back, and I've recognized it just like you're talking about. It's when we get into that fourth element of significance, doing work that creates value for others. So it's the magic of life comes not from getting more, but from giving more.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more to it than that. It's not just the giving that's magical, Danny. What I've been learning from my guests, especially, but also then reflecting on my own life too, is it's when you're giving from living in your purpose. That's where the real magic is. So tell us, how does it feel to be happily living your life and giving to others, like you've just described, through the work you were put on this planet to do, and the people around you have taken notice? So Danny, please sit back for a moment, open your heart, and have a listen to the impact you're making on others by finding that magic in your life. Danny is a community conscious entrepreneur, brewer, veteran advocate, and spokesperson for personal and professional excellence. Siluria Brewing has an awesome vibe and great beer. The folks running Siluria are super friendly and on the ball. We really had a fun evening. Highly recommend. This customer says, one of the best nights I've ever had while checking out a place for the first time. I'll definitely be visiting while I'm stationed in Alabama and stopping again on my way home. The most family-oriented bar restaurant in the entire city. Fantastic on-tap beers and great wine selections too. Awesome food trucks that are local, family-owned. Amazing atmosphere, great bartenders, friendly, smiling staff, great owners, an amazing backyard for fun, great patrons, awesome entertainment and live music, great conversations, quirky but inviting decor. I truly love this place. It feels so homey, and they allow dogs too. We had so much fun at the brewery, meeting the locals and tasting the beer. It's been our favorite of all our Harvest Host stays. Our stay at Siluria was perfect. Great directions, easy parking and check-in. The drinks were cold and tasty. The food truck was an added bonus. The staff were fun and engaging. Siluria is a fantastic Harvest Host, a refreshing local brewery with excellent craft beer selections, an awesome staff, and a great social down-home yet fresh vibe. Congrats to Danny and Tammy Sample for creating a new experience, one that Alabaster can be very proud of. So Danny, tell us, how does all that love make you feel?
It makes me proud of our staff more than anything. Hope I don't get choked up, but it does. It truly shows just how much the dedication that my wife has put forward with this. Because again, without her, this would just be some idea in the back of my head or written on a note card in a briefcase. So she truly is a huge force, and putting forward. I'm really almost at a loss of words, and it just means a lot to us for Tammy and I to hear those kind of things, because again, it's I'm sitting here looking at the staff over there, and they're able to hear some of this, and they heard some of those things, and they're just grinning from ear to ear. But between Leon and Cam, my brewers, and Heather, who takes care of the events, and those Cam and Heather and Greg and Karen and Trey and all they just they believe in our vision, which I think was very important from the onset, is they believe in the vision, and they take ownership themselves in ensuring the product is out right. I say I'm at a loss for words, and I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but and again, but it's those kind of comments that says, this is why we're doing this. And it means that it fulfills us on a drive to, again, make every day better. What are we going to do better? The processes we go through with the beer, I can tell you, none of the beers are the same when we started 4 years ago. We continue to make sure they're right. And then once we get them right, how do we stay consistent? And hearing those comments really validates the 36-hour days of brewing and cleaning and renovating and those kind of things. So it's very much appreciative, and I'll make sure that Tammy knows too.
Well, that's awesome, and that discovery of purpose and the joy that comes from it, that's what this show is all about, finding that magic in each of our lives. And it comes from this great big happy circle. Giving your time and your talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering purpose. And giving from living in your purpose brings this profound joy to your life and to the lives of those around you. That's what's so exciting about it. Giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. So, Danny, to more properly reflect the exponential power of the happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a little bit more. Power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power, and that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
Oh yeah, I think that as we've grown, even for my wife and I and for our family, if you start from that very beginning of the formula and starting out when you start out a family and a career, to where it all completely completes you in that happiness, I'm speechless, which my wife would say is amazing.
All right, good stuff, Danny. Well, let's wrap things up with a lightning round. I love the power of words and the capacity for great quotes to change lives. So I'm going to read a few of my favorites and have you tell us what they mean to you.
Okay.
And Danny, give us the first thing that comes to mind, because it's called a lightning round.
All right.
Here we go. From Lionel Massey. I start early and I stay late, day after day, year after year. It's took me 17 years and 114 days to become an overnight success.
Perseverance.
Very good. From Lao Tzu, to the giver comes the fullness of life, to the taker, just an empty hand.
Joy in giving, supporting others.
Very good. From G.K. Chesterton, before you tear down a fence, find out why it was put up in the first place.
Start with why. Which is kind of a book by Simon Sinek, but have an understanding and why and having that understanding of where you can tear it down, but why did it get torn down, and what are you going to do after you tear it down?
Yep, good stuff. From Paul Hawken, relax, take your time, work, practice, and learn.
Continue to learn. Don't be anxious, be patient, and understand.
Good. From Peter Drucker, efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things.
Life is a process. Everything we do is a process. Prepare each process with a thoughtful journey in mind. You can be very efficient, but if you're not putting out a quality product efficiently or getting it efficiently, you're not going to get in the direction you're trying to go. We can have a point A to point B, but if you've got to go to A and a half before, you're going to distract yourself. So maintain a focus of efficiency, but ensure that you have that quality is in tune with it.
Very good. This is the show anchor from Goth. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Nobody ever got anywhere sitting still. You gotta take a step. You got to put the car in drive. You got to move forward. You don't get anywhere sitting on your couch, on a chair. Even as we move our business forward, we just can't be complacent. It's easier to just continue to move forward.
Yep, very good. It's like you said, you couldn't open the restaurant and the brewery you have today at the beginning.
Right.
You just
It took some time.
You got to just start. Yep. Very good. Okay, now folks, it's your chance to be a giver too. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Danny Sample, please share some love with our wonderful broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Danny, I love your vision to promote the sheer fun of artisan craft brewing with a local flair and with a love for the history of Alabaster, Alabama, and with pride in your customers and your product. And I admire your years of dedication and service to protecting our country as an officer in the United States Army and Army Reserves. And I'm super happy that you've shared your patriotic and entrepreneurial spirit on our show today. Will you please take a minute or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
No, just always know that no matter what challenge you have in front of you, there's always an option to get around that challenge. You can either face it head on or you can turn around and go back. Going back is always the easiest thing to do, but moving forward is always going to get you more success. It's going to bring you more joy, and it's going to bring you more accomplishment to yourself, because it's your inner drive. It's having faith. It's having those around you that are going to be able to help challenge you to get you moving to where you want to be. And like I said, it's not an easy journey. It's not a quick journey, and you're going to get banged up, but you can always get up and keep moving forward.
Right on. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Danny and reaching folks just like you ready to create your own extraordinary lives. Most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Danny Sample. Find him, friend him, check out his beer menu and events calendar at siluriabrewing.com. That's all one word, SILURIABREWING.com, siluriabrewing.com. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So I want you to go to happyliving.com and take our happy quiz, because when you measure your happy, you'll focus attention on it. And focusing attention on it inspires change and learning and improvement, all to flow right into your life. And once you take the quiz, and it only takes a minute, then I hope you'll give some thought about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.